This is a tour of the drip line watering system in the backyard. Oh, somebody's building something. Here's some bamboo that we planted, and behind the bamboo is some laurel. Those are on the drip line. So here is the system over here behind the camellia and the rhodie, and so what it is it's a solar powered water storage and distribution system. And the place here has a well, and down here you can see that pipe, and it's 26 feet deep, and the water is sitting at about 19 feet, and there's a pump down there, and the power line and the water line comes over here to the heart of the system. And it's basically three different components. We've got the water storage tanks. These are 55-gallon drums connected in series down at the bottom. And then the platform here, we have just 2x4s, and there's a solar panel, 100-watt solar panel sitting on top, and the solar juice comes down through these cables into the system, goes through the charge controller, and keeps the battery charged up. And then the battery juice goes through this master on-off switch over to this fuse panel, and then the fuse panel is connected to these power output receptacles. So let's see, you can see the battery is charging. It's got about a 13.4 volt charge, and then you can click through these things. Okay, so that says the panel's producing 16 volts at the moment. I think it's rated for 17. So even on this slightly cloudy day, that's pretty good. And if we click through here, it's putting out 1.6-ish amps into the battery. Battery's at 13.4 volts, very good charge. And then there's this other feature on this charge controller where you can hook the charge controller up to the load, which would be the fuse panel, which I had done initially, but I found that for some reason there was just this constant drain on the battery, and so when it wasn't in use it would lose charge, and I didn't like that. So I don't have anything hooked up to the load side of the charge controller, which I've seen, of course, of all my YouTube learnings, that's okay. So we got 6 amp hours, blah bitty blah bitty blah. But there's the big picture. Okay, so that's how the electricity gets to the power head and how it all gets maintained. So then plugged into the power head is this weird ugly contraption. It's my distribution panel. On the right side we have the source, and the source being the well, and the left side is distribution. So there's 2 pumps, a well pump and a distribution pump. And the distribution pump is down here, sitting on close to the ground by the barrels, just plugged into the line that's connecting the barrels, and it gets pushed out. So what happens then is to get these things to work in an automatic fashion, so I don't have to come out here and turn it on and off all the time, is there's a float switch inside of this tank here. There's this big lid that makes it easy to get in and out of that barrel. And what the float switch does is it has 2 positions. It has up and down. And so I decided to use the down position as my signal. So when the barrels run dry and the float switch drops, it sends a signal back to the distribution panel that the barrels are empty and they need water. So then what that does is the signal goes to this normally open relay and closes it which turns on the well pump. At the same time, the signal from the switch goes to this normally closed relay and opens it so that the distribution pump cannot run. So then, when the float switch rises to its full position, the signal stops. This relay returns to its normally open position. This relay returns to its normally closed position, which then allows power to flow from the timer down to the outlet and turn on the distribution pump. And right now that timer is set to run every day, 8 a.m. for an hour. And that is enough time for that 5-gallon per minute pump to drain these 4 tanks. So that's approximately, and they don't go, all the way to the top full. There's maybe a few inches from the top. So I'm guessing it's 200 gallons. So 200 gallons a day is being taken from the well in the yard into these pumps, or into these tanks, and then spread around the yard. And I've got drip line on a lot of these guys, not all of them, but you can see all that fresh green growth. They're getting a lot of iron rich water from the well. It's definitely not potable. I wouldn't drink it. I wash my hands every time I get done playing with it. But Jerry next door has been using his well water for decades and doesn't seem to exhibit any ill effect. And so yeah, that is the system, and it's been running for a few weeks now that it's finally quit raining, and it seems to be working. Plans for the future, I'm gonna probably put in a couple of shut-off ball valves in the drip lines, and then splice in a connection to where I can hook up a garden hose and then use the distribution pump to water the lawn. And that's that.